We are less than 30 days away from the NFL draft, and questions still linger about who will secure the 4th overall pick. What options do the New England Patriots have, and is there a chance of a trade involving one of their players? As the draft approaches, we begin to speculate more heavily, try to predict what moves the team might make. Several franchises are in a similar situation, realizing the need for a new quarterback. However, the problem they face is that this isn't exactly a strong quarterback class. So, what does that mean for teams that are in the market for a signal caller? What does it mean for the Patriots, whose eyes continue to be on Joe Milton, the current backup? It's a conversation that we've had before, but it's one that keeps resurfacing, and honestly, it's a bit reminiscent of a scene from a movie where seagulls are constantly screaming in the background, repeating their cries over and over. I can't help but think of a recent time when I overheard a child at school mimicking that same noise endlessly. The chatter around Joe Milton isn't new. Teams are paying attention to him, as they see the potential of a quarterback who might provide some value, even if it's not as a starting player right away. Joe Milton, in particular, has made it known that he wants to be in a situation where he can compete for a starting job. As Patriots fans, we know this isn't an easy road for him. It seems highly unlikely that Milton would start over someone like Maye, unless an unexpected situation arises, such as an injury to Maye, which could open up a window for Milton to prove himself. While I'm not rooting for that to happen, I can't ignore the fact that anything can occur in the world of football, and that includes an injury that could suddenly change the dynamics. But I'm also quite skeptical about this happening. Once again, we find ourselves discussing Joe Milton, who was selected in the 6th round. At some point, an injury to Maye could happen, and Milton could end up taking the field, surprising everyone with his performance. While I don't see this scenario as probable, I can't completely disregard it, because in sports, anything is possible. But for now, I remain doubtful. Milton, chosen in the 6th round, could very well be traded to a team that sees value in him, a team willing to offer a decent draft pick for a 25-year-old quarterback who played at Tennessee and, before that, at Michigan. If a team believes enough in him to take that risk, then so be it. It would be a bold move, but some might argue that he's an exceptional athlete with a cannon for an arm. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Milton is indeed an athlete, and he has the raw talent to make plays, but the reason he wasn't able to hold onto a starting spot at Michigan is evident. The reason he was drafted in the 6th round speaks to his ongoing search for consistency. He has the tools, no doubt, but can he do it week in and week out? The answer may very well be yes, as he's shown that kind of ability in college. But the real question is whether he can translate that to the NFL level. Of course, some will point to his performance against the Buffalo Bills as proof that he's ready to compete. That game, in particular, seems to be his shining moment, where he put up solid numbers and looked impressive. Let's quickly revisit that game. Milton completed 22 of 29 passes for 241 yards, with 1 touchdown passing and another on the ground. Those are some strong numbers, no doubt about it. But it's important to remember that the Buffalo Bills weren't exactly in a typical NFL situation at the time. In any game, the ultimate goal is to win. And in sports, it's generally not advisable to suggest that a team should intentionally lose for the sake of future matchups or playoff positioning. I've seen this kind of thing happen at the high school level, where coaches recommended losing a game to improve their rankings or get a better chance at a favorable matchup down the line. To me, that's a dangerous mindset to endorse, as it undermines the value of playing to win. If you're telling young athletes that losing is okay for the greater good, what message are you sending? With that in mind, yes, Milton performed well in that preseason game. He looked good, made some impressive throws, and showed off that strong arm that's been talked about for years. But let's not forget that the Bills, for all their talent, weren't putting everything on the line in that particular matchup. They weren't playing at full capacity, and as much as we want to acknowledge Milton's potential, we have to remember the context of the situation. In the end, Milton did have a good showing in a game that, while competitive, wasn't a true test of his ability in a full regular season setting. Still, at this point, I do believe that if the Patriots were to receive a solid trade offer for him, it would make sense for them to consider moving on from Milton. The team has seen what Milton can do, and although it was impressive, it's hard to justify holding on to him if another team is willing to offer something of value in exchange. Milton has shown that he's a solid backup option, but if a better deal comes along, why not take it? This is all about return on investment. If there's an opportunity to get something worthwhile for a player who, while talented, still has a lot to prove, it might be a smart move. And let's not forget, Milton is a quarterback who's smart, someone who knows how to digest a playbook and act on it quickly. He's the kind of guy who can step in and execute when necessary, and he's proven that he can handle the mental side of the game. If it were only about intelligence and being able to read the field, he could very well become a solid second-string quarterback for any team. But if the Patriots can get something valuable in return, they may want to explore that option. I think that's where this whole situation is headed. If the team gets an offer that makes sense, don't be surprised if they pull the trigger on a trade. After all, the NFL is all about finding value. If there's a chance to improve the roster, it's worth considering, especially if it means securing a draft pick or another player who could help the team long-term. That's the way I see it. Now, before I wrap up, let me add one more thought. Milton's situation has been closely analyzed. We know that he's a competitor, someone who wants to win and isn't afraid of the challenge. He's shown professionalism and a great attitude, even when serving as the third-string quarterback at the end of last season. The question now is whether Milton will be part of the team's off-season plans. He's been complimentary about what he's accomplished, but he hasn't exactly been vocal about whether or not he's open to a trade. That speaks volumes, as it's clear that the team might be looking to find him a new home. A second-string quarterback, in theory, could help another team, but if he's not going to be utilized in that role with the Patriots, then why not see if another team would be willing to give up something valuable for him? As we get closer to the draft, I'm becoming more and more convinced that a trade involving Joe Milton is a real possibility. Whether or not it happens remains to be seen, but if the Patriots can get something worthwhile in exchange, it might just be the best move for both sides. What do you think? Do you agree with this assessment? Would you trade Joe Milton, or do you think he deserves a shot at being a starter somewhere? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. As we dive deeper into the situation surrounding Joe Milton, it's important to consider all the factors that have led to this point. A quarterback's journey in the NFL is rarely linear. Some players start their careers as stars, while others must work their way up, proving their worth over time. Joe Milton, despite all the physical tools at his disposal, still has a long road ahead of him. When we look at the broader picture, it becomes clear that his path in the NFL is far from certain. That said, he's been given opportunities to show what he can do, and his performances, particularly in the preseason, have garnered attention. Let's face it, the Patriots aren't exactly in a position where they're desperate to hand over the starting job to a backup quarterback. With Mac Jones still very much in the mix, and the future of the position potentially tied to a draft pick or another veteran, it's difficult to imagine Milton breaking through the depth chart without something extraordinary happening. And while it's true that he's got the arm strength and athleticism that scouts drool over, that alone isn't enough to guarantee success at the next level. For all of his talent, Milton has yet to prove he can perform consistently, especially when facing off against top-tier NFL defenses. A lot of the buzz surrounding Milton has been based on the flashes of brilliance he's shown. But flashes are just that, brief moments of greatness that don't necessarily translate into long-term success. A perfect example of this is his performance against the Bills. While he did put up impressive stats, anyone who's watched enough football can tell you that a preseason game, especially one involving a team like the Bills, who weren't playing with full intensity, isn't a reliable indicator of a player's readiness to start in the NFL. Milton's completion rate, his yardage, and his touchdowns were all great to see, but they should be taken with a grain of salt. What truly matters is how a player performs when the stakes are higher, when every throw counts, and when the pressure is on. And at this point, there's little evidence to suggest that Milton can perform under those circumstances. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Milton can't improve or won't have a successful NFL career. But let's not kid ourselves into thinking that his performances in preseason games are enough to elevate him to starter material right away. His story is one of potential, not guaranteed success. He's a player who could, in the right system and with the right coaching, develop into a competent quarterback. But for now, that's all it is, potential. And as we all know, potential doesn't win games in the NFL. Consistency does. The ability to go out there every Sunday and execute at a high level is what separates the good from the great. And right now, Milton hasn't proven he can do that on a consistent basis. So, with that in mind, what's next for him? Is a trade the best move for both Milton and the Patriots? From a strategic standpoint, it might make sense for New England to move on from him, especially if a team comes calling with a strong offer. The Patriots could use the draft capital to strengthen other areas of the team, or perhaps even to acquire a player who could contribute right away. While Milton's upside is intriguing, the reality is that he's not likely to unseat Mac Jones or be the face of the franchise anytime soon. And if a trade offer comes in that makes sense, the team would be wise to take it. On the other hand, there's also the argument to be made that keeping Milton around could be beneficial in the long run. He's still young, and there's value in having a backup quarterback who can step in if needed. It's important to remember that injuries happen in the NFL, and having a solid backup quarterback can be the difference between a playoff run and a lost season. Milton may not be ready to start, but that doesn't mean he couldn't be a valuable asset to the team in a backup role. And while it's easy to say that the Patriots should move on from him if the right offer comes along, it's also important to recognize that the NFL is a league full of surprises. A player who looks like a long shot one season can emerge as a star the next. And if the Patriots let Milton go too soon, they might end up regretting it. Ultimately, this is a decision that will come down to what the Patriots feel is best for their future. If they believe they can get a solid return for Milton, then a trade might be the way to go. But if they think there's still a chance he could develop into something special, they might want to hang on to him for a little longer and see how things play out. The fact that we're even having this conversation shows just how uncertain the quarterback situation is in New England. With the draft fast approaching and teams like the Patriots looking to improve at the position, it's clear that the future of quarterbacks in the NFL is still very much up in the air. In the end, it's not just about what Joe Milton can do today. It's about what he can do in the future. The NFL is a league that rewards players who can adapt, grow, and prove themselves over time. Milton has the raw tools to be successful, but he needs to show that he can put it all together and be a consistent performer at the highest level. Whether that happens with the Patriots, with another team, or at some point in the future remains to be seen. But for now, it's a waiting game. The draft is coming, and the Patriots will have some important decisions to make. And as we know, the decisions they make now could shape the future of the franchise for years to come. As for Joe Milton, he's not out of the picture yet. But the clock is ticking, and it's becoming increasingly clear that his future in New England is uncertain. Will he stay with the team, or will he be traded for a draft pick or another asset? It's anyone's guess at this point. But one thing is for sure. The quarterback situation in New England is something we'll all be keeping a close eye on as the draft draws near. It's a pivotal moment for the team, and the decisions made in the coming weeks will have a lasting impact. And as we watch this story unfold, we can't help but wonder how it will all play out. Will Joe Milton rise to the occasion and prove his worth, or will he be just another player lost in a shuffle? Only time will tell, but for now, the anticipation surrounding the draft continues to build. The Patriots have plenty of options to consider, and the choices they make. Who will the Patriots pick? Will they trade for a quarterback? Will they stick with Mac Jones or bring in someone new? And what role will Joe Milton play in all of this? The answers to these questions will shape the future of the team. As always, it's a waiting game, and we'll all be watching closely to see how it unfolds. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Tensions are reportedly running high in the New England Patriots locker room following an alleged incident involving veteran offensive lineman Onwenu and rookie quarterback Maye. According to sources close to the team, Onwenu made disparaging comments about Maye, questioning his ability to lead the franchise. The remarks, which reportedly occurred behind closed doors, have sparked a wave of controversy, raising concerns about team unity as the Patriots navigate a crucial point in their season. The alleged comments surfaced after Maye's recent performances, which have been a mix of promising flashes and growing pains typical of a first-year quarterback. Some teammates, however, seem to be divided on the issue. While a faction within the locker room remains firmly supportive of Maye's development, others, like Onwenu, are reportedly frustrated with the team's struggles and believe the rookie's mistakes have cost the Patriots valuable games. This division is fueling speculation that all is not well behind the scenes in Foxborough. Reports suggest that when Onwenu's comments were brought to Maye's attention, the young quarterback initially brushed them off, emphasizing his focus on improving his game. However, tensions escalated when other teammates stepped in to defend Maye, leading to what some sources describe as a heated exchange within the locker room. While no physical confrontation occurred, the situation has left many questioning the overall morale and leadership structure within the Patriots organization. Head coach Jared Maye has yet to publicly address the rumored conflict, but insiders believe the coaching staff is working to defuse the situation before it spirals further. With the Patriots in the midst of a rebuilding phase, unity is paramount, and distractions of this nature could have long-term consequences on the team's trajectory. If left unresolved, the friction between a key veteran and the franchise's supposed future at quarterback could create a divide that may take time to heal. As the Patriots prepare for their upcoming games, all eyes will be on how the team responds to these reports. Will this controversy serve as a rallying point for a struggling team, or will it expose deeper fractures within the organization? One thing is certain: the drama unfolding in New England is far from over, and how the Patriots handle this internal rift could define the early years of Maye's career in the NFL. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.